Hey, it's Justin. Today I'm going to walk you through how to use the Flipwise income statement. We're looking at the Flipwise dashboard right now. To get to the income statement, we scroll down on the navigation on the left-hand side under Insights and find Income Statement. Once you click into there, you're going to see your income statement. It's going to default to month to date. So today's February 6th. You're going to see my income statement from February 1st to February 6th, 2025. And before we dig into the actual numbers here, I'm going to actually change the date range here because it's going to be easier to see a wider range of data, the longer the date range I use here. So instead, we're going to go to last year. Now you can change the date range to whatever you want. Today, yesterday, last week, week to date, month to date, or you can do custom. You can do any date range that you want to do. But for today, we're just going to do last year, and that'll bring in a bunch more data since the time frame is longer. So at any point when you're looking at the income statement, you can click this button right up here, this question mark, and that's going to give you a second link that'll send you over to our help desk and give you a detailed explanation of everything that you see on this screen that I'm about to talk through. So if you forget what I'm talking about here today, just look up for that question mark and you can find that help document. So the income statement, basically an income statement, is also known as a profit and loss statement. So the purpose of it is to show all money coming into your business, your income, and all money going out of your business, your expenses for a given time period. So it's broken up into total revenue, total expenses, and then it gives you a net income for that specific time period. We'll walk through each one of these and talk about how it works. And over here on the right-hand side, you're going to have a few notifications. You'll notice mine are green. So what that's telling you is that for the time frame selected, all of your inventory has the data that Flipwise needs in order to generate an accurate income statement. If some of your products were missing certain pieces of data, it would show you that on the right and tell you how to fix it. But we're good to go here, so we'll just go ahead and talk through it. First is total revenue. So that's going to be all income coming in. That's going to be including from eBay. So obviously we're going to ingest your gross eBay sales automatically. If you're recording sales outside of eBay on other marketplaces, that's going to show up here as well. And then also additional revenue. So if you've logged any credits in your Flipwise ledger, which is where you record general business expenses and general credits. If you've logged any of those here, they will show up there. Occasionally, eBay will give you credits for other random things, and that's going to automatically pop up there. Things like shipping label adjustments or miscellaneous credits like I've got there. The income statement is going to total up all income coming in from all sources, as well as all expenses. Now, one quick note on the gross eBay sales. You might find that this number does not necessarily match what you see on eBay. And the explanation there is that eBay has a bunch of different reporting mechanisms. They have the sales report, which is kind of what you see on your Seller Hub dashboard. They also have a financial report. They have the tax report. And each one of those reports uses a different formula for calculating gross sales. So when you check those numbers on the eBay side across those three reports, you'll see three different gross eBay sales numbers, which is kind of confusing. So when we built Flipwise, we decided to pick one of those formulas that eBay uses for gross sales and align Flipwise to it. And we aligned ourselves with the tax formula. We thought that was the most important. So if you look at your gross sales on the dashboard of the Seller Hub, it's going to be a little bit different than what you see here on the income statement because, again, there's just a discrepancy between how eBay builds its own reports. But if you check your gross eBay sales against what you see on your tax report or your 1099, that's typically going to match pretty much exactly. Anyway, carrying on. That's total revenue. And so for example, here I have $59,641 of total revenue for last year, and then we'll talk through total expenses. So I have $34,780 in total expenses. The first of these expenses is spent on new inventory. So that's how we show inventory costs on the income statement. We only show spent on new inventory. So that means what items did you purchase based on the purchase date during this time frame. So any item in my inventory that has a purchase date that's in this time frame last year, it's going to total up the cost there. Now we get questions occasionally like, why don't you show cost of goods sold there? And that's because, again, this is an income statement. It's supposed to show all the money coming in and out of your business. And so from an inventory cost perspective, if we showed cost of goods sold, that wouldn't accurately reflect money coming in and out of your business. Instead, it would reflect the cost of your inventory based on the date that it's sold, not when it was purchased, not when you incurred the cost. So that's why we show spent on new inventory. If you want to see cost of goods sold, you can see that on your tax report or on the sales and inventory screen. Moving on, under spent on new inventory, you have your total marketplace fees. So that's everything across eBay, including ad fees, final value fees, international fees. There's all sorts of weird fees. So you may see other fees that you don't see here pop up just depending on what you sell and where you sell it from. You'll also see if you've logged sales that happen outside of eBay and assign fees to those sales. You'll see the marketplace fees show up there as well. You'll see your total shipping label costs. That includes shipping label adjustments from eBay and return shipping label costs as well. So you can see last year I spent $273 on return shipping labels. And then you'll have additional expenses. This is everything that's basically coming from the Flipwise ledger. So if you're recording things like boxes or other supplies that you're using in your day-to-day reselling business in the ledger, those are going to show up there. Importantly, though, this income statement is not going to show what's called non-cash expenses. So in the Flipwise ledger, when you're recording business expenses, general business expenses, you can record some of those expenses as non-cash. The best example here is mileage. So when you log mileage, let's say you drove 10 miles and you get paid 67 cents a mile, that's $6.70 that you can log for a tax write-off. But you didn't actually pay that money. You didn't pay $6.70. That didn't leave your bank account. So that's considered a non-cash expense. And the income statement is not going to show non-cash expenses. However, the tax report will. So if you're wondering why your mileage doesn't show up on the income statement, that's why. It's because you didn't actually incur that cost to drive. And so anything that you've categorized as a non-cash expense will not show up under additional expenses here. And then there's other additional expenses outside of the ledger, things like order refunds. So this is the money that you pay back to buyers who have bought your stuff and then returned it. I had $2,800 in refunds last year. And then also just miscellaneous eBay debits as well that Flipwise is automatically detecting and pulling in. And then it's going to give you a total net income. So that's just the difference between the total revenue and the total expenses. Now, if at any point you're wondering how Flipwise is getting all this data, how it's getting these calculations, or what any of these mean, or anything, you can hit this download button right here. So what that's going to do is email you a zip file, and that zip file is going to contain many different CSV files or spreadsheet files that contain all of the data that makes this income statement up. So if you're wondering, wow, return shipping label costs, like what were my returns? Hit that download button, and it's going to explain to you exactly how to see what those return shipping label costs are and where they're coming from. So that's a nice little trick to do. And then up at the top here, this is a summarization of the income statement. So last year you earned $59,000, you incurred $34,000 in expenses, and your net return was $24,000. And that's the income statement. That's how it works.